It is once again the AEW Dynamite review here on the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. Hello, I'm Mr. Warren Hayes. That's what we're going to be talking about. It's Thursday. January 19 is when we're recording this. We're going to be breaking down in depth last night's AEW Dynamite show. Let's just get this out of the way like we usually do. If you're listening to this on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes right now, consider giving the video a like and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll never miss another AEW Dynamite review of your entire life, or at least until you unsubscribe. And then on top of that, you'll be able to find out when the Mr. Warren Hayes Show proper, the podcast, gets recorded. I record it live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, so if you want to jump in and hang out with and have a good time, it's a good place to come hang out. So that'll be around as well. And you will know every single time that happens if you subscribe. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast audio, well, look, hey, fantastic. Thank you very much. Consider giving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, a 5-star rating on Spotify. All of these little things together, you put them all together into one big schmutz ball, and that schmutz ball propels the Mr. Warren Hayes Show into the stratosphere. I don't know if you knew this, but schmutz is the fuel of the future. So if we get a schmutz ball together, imagine, thank you for your support, is what I'm trying to say. Dynamite. The one we're talking about, of course, is the January 18 one. The world of wrestling is still pretty shaken over the shocking passing of Jay Briscoe, who passed away in a car accident just a couple of days ago. It's one of the talking points that has come out of the. It's one of the talking points that came out of the Dynamite last night. The fact that there wasn't specifically the last night's Dynamite wasn't specifically designed to pay tribute to Jay Briscoe, outside, of course, of the opening graphic and the armbands worn by wrestlers and the commentary mentioning it as well. Tony Khan had made an announcement previous to that saying that after the live show, they were going to film a special Ring of Honor tribute to Jay Briscoe to be available soon free to everyone on Honor Club. It was then revealed a little later, I believe this morning. I think it's Dave who had the report, old Uncle Dave Meltzer, giving us the report that it was actually Time Warner Bros, Discover Bros, who shut down the idea completely. Like they did not want a Jay Briscoe tribute on TBS. So this is all correlating with previous reports that we have all heard. I think at this point that TBS really didn't want anything to do with the Briscoes, not just TBS specifically, but all of Warner Media really didn't want anything to do with the Briscoes on TV. Everyone's best guess being related to the days where in regards to certain homophobic tweets and comments that Jay had made, these still loom very large over the legacy of the Briscoes, despite the fact that Jay has done significant strides to try and improve that situation over the years, make sure that or try to better himself and learn from it. But this is not what we're going to necessarily what we're getting into. But I think this is pretty much one of the root causes as to why this was happening. So there's a lot of people who are extremely disappointed with the decision, with Warner Media coming in to sort of pump the brakes on it, of course. And I think it's a legitimate gripe to have at the same time. But in all fairness, despite it all, despite the, we can call out the hypocrisy that, Warner Bros. And Discovery and TBS have in regards to certain other programming that follows, and other instances with other actors who maybe are, maybe a little more problematic, actually positively 100% more problematic than Jay Briscoe. In all fairness, I feel like Jay Briscoe being honored on a Ring of Honor show proper is the best way to go about it. I think it's kind of hard to consider Ring of Honor and Jay Briscoe as anything but inseparable. So it makes sense to me for Ring of Honor to be the perfect place to pay tribute, a final farewell to Jay. I think there's been a lot of people have been implying that the show that was recorded last night will not be the only tribute that Ring of Honor will have to the memory of Jay Briscoe. There'll be other things, but this is at least a start. And look, I also understand, and I get behind this 100%. It still would have made sense for AEW to be like, yeah, you know what, tonight's a Jay Briscoe memorial show, and that's what we're doing here tonight. Because AEW fans have a lot more crossover with Ring of Honor than maybe fans, let's say for instance from WWE. So it makes a lot of sense. And besides, the crossover has existed for the better part for almost a year at this point, since Toni owns both. So I understand that people were disappointed, were a little frustrated, and it would have been nice at the same time for Jay to get that the final big hurrah on a mainstream stage, like or broadcast, if you were, like on TBS on a Wednesday night, and have everyone be able to show truly how much he was loved. I mean, it's flabbergasting the amount of love that is being that has been overflowing from his peers over the past 2 days. It's been it's flabbergasting. It's flabbergasting. It's mind blowing. It's touching. So I understand where people are like, AEW on a Dynamite, that would have been the perfect place, and I agree. But honestly, in all fairness, it makes a lot more sense that he be connected with a Ring of Honor tribute show. So again, the Ring of Honor is not dead; it's still around, and if anything, in this past year for Ring of Honor, throughout all of its ups and downs, it's excellent shows, but it's final resolution. When I say this past year, of course, 2022, and its final resolution ending up with not having a television deal per se, but being on streaming. Jay, along with Mark and FTR, were part of some of the highest highs of the company. Some would even say some of the highest highs in the wrestling industry this year with their series of matches. So his value cannot be understated. Even if this was a year where, if you were new to the Briscoes and you just started discovering them this year, it's never too late to get into a pro wrestler. There's always stuff to go back to, and then when you dive deeply into the rich back catalog of matches that he has, along with his brother, and his singles run as well, you absolutely get get the complete picture of how important he was to Ring of Honor. Continued right up until his final year. So, I understand the outrage. I understand the anger, but there's something nonetheless that just feels truer to having Jay Briscoe be honored in the Ring of Honor environment. as opposed to anywhere else. But yeah, you know what I mean. We'll have more opportunities to talk about it. We'll probably talk a little more about his career on the podcast next Tuesday on the next recording, because the news of his death hit as I was recording this week's podcast live, so it sort of took everyone by surprise. So we'll talk about it a little more next Tuesday. Try to remember him in the best possible ways. In the meantime, let's get into Dynamite. Again, it is the January 18 show. Fresno, California, the Save Mart Center. Save Mart it sounds like a good place to save money, right? That's what I'm assuming you're saving. Unless is it a mart that will save you? You will save products to save people? If I'm in danger and I'm in Fresno, if I'm in, can I dash to a Save Mart to be saved, rescued, protected? Will they look after me? Will they ensure that I am safe? I don't know what a Save Mart is, which is why I'm asking these questions. I'm assuming it's some kind of grocery chain. I don't know. Show started off with the AEW All-Atlantic title being defended. Orange Cassidy defeated Jay Lethal. Both guys come out alone. Everyone is, it's not that everyone was banned from ringside. That's not the thing. Orange Cassidy comes out alone. Jay Lethal comes out alone. And Lethal comes out alone because there was a stipulation that if anyone from Jay Lethal's crew gets involved in this match, Sanjay Dutt is getting fired. Okay. The match starts off. We get Orange Cassidy doing a flare flop, gets punched right in the mush after he does it. Then we have Jay Lethal's people who come in from the audience, and they go and they set themselves up in the front row, and Danhausen is out there, and he's dressed like a ticket agent. So he's checking for their tickets because he wants to make sure that they're not just coming out here to cause shenanigans. No, Jeff Jarrett, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay all purchased front row tickets for AEW Dynamite. They did it the right way. But then the best friends arrive, Trent, Chucky T, and they have tickets too. So everyone's kosher and everyone's just sitting at ringside enjoying the match. Jay Lethal beats Orange Cassidy on the floor, beats him up, I should say. He tries to do the elbow drop back into the ring, but Orange Cassidy just rolls around on the mat. It was a pretty funny spot, not gonna lie. Orange Cassidy slams his head about 10 times on the turnbuckle, hits a diving crossbody, stun dog millionaire, and a satellite DDT. He also avoids the lethal injection, but Jay Lethal avoids the orange punch. After that, Lethal does land the lethal injection, but Cassidy rolls out of the ring. Now the heels at ringside, Sanjay's crew, they start causing a commotion. And because of this commotion, the referee is distracted, which allows Jeff Jarrett to pass El Kabong over to Jay Lethal, but Danhausen intercepts it, and he's not a ticket agent anymore. He's removed his polo shirt. He's taken it off. He's back to full Danhausen gear. He intercepts the guitar, which then allows for some Keystone Cops running around the ring stuff. It suckers Lethal back into the ring, right straight into an orange punch for the win. Orange Cassidy retains. After the match, Satnam Singh hits the ring and he tries to choke slam the best friends, but everyone is saying, don't do it, because otherwise Sanjay is going to get fired. And Jeff Jarrett comes in, grabs the guitar, but Sanjay Dutt stops him because he says, hey, I'm going to lose my job. Orange Cassidy then starts taunting Sanjay Dutt with the shin kicks. And Dutt takes off his coat and he's ready to fight. But Lethal and Jared tell him, don't do it, you're going to get fired. So I don't know what anyone was thinking in this final segment. You know, Sanjay is like cool and collected. He's trying to keep everyone from getting him fired. Then he's ready to get himself fired. But then the people who were not cool and collected are now trying to cool him down. Look, I get it. Heels are dumb. Don't worry. It's fine. Lots of heated things. This didn't do much for me. The match was all right. You know what? One of the and I've mentioned this before. One of the things that I really like about Orange Cassidy matches, Best Friends, they usually have the comedy bits, right? This is what you expect from this trio, from this stable. You expect everyone to just, relax, be goofy. And and they usually get the comedy spots out of the way early on in the match, and then for the rest of the match, you just have Orange Cassidy putting on a good wrestling show with whoever he's wrestling, right? In this case, there was too much. I feel there were too many shenanigans, and it got distracting, and I don't think they were all that great. A rare swing and a miss for an opening match on Dynamite. I wouldn't call it a swing and a miss because it wasn't bad. I just I think the elements were all there. There were too many elements. It was maybe a little confusing. Maybe not a swing and a miss. A swing and a foul. A swing and a foul ball. Is that fair? We get a video package of Kushida versus Darby Allin that's happening in the main event, and I appreciated tremendously seeing having Kushida show there. They had footage of Kushida fighting Hangman Paige and Cody. They has them in locks and whatnot, and they're screaming out in agony. Started to establish, hey, you know what? This guy's been around the block, and he's been fucking up some top guys for a while. I thought that was smart. Next match we had was Top Flight defeating the Young Bucks in an upset, a shocker, if you will. Dante roundhouses Nick. We get a double team by the Young Bucks, catapult Gamangiri combo by the Young Bucks as well. And the Bucks in this match get the heat segment. They're healing it up in this match, which is my favorite version of the Bucks. I have no time for babyface Young Bucks. Heel Young Bucks are where it's at. They also hit the risky business. Darius Martin hits a standing shooting star press and a flying cross body, but he runs into a super kick. The Top Flight guys avoid an indie taker. Springboard flatliner by Darius again. A nosedive connects, but the Jacksons are able to avoid the pinfall loss on this one. Slingshot X Factor by Nick followed into a moonsault off the apron, which is just like great stuff by Nick per usual. And he gets back into the ring and he hits a destroyer. Just great stuff. The Bucks hit a Doomsday Device as a tribute to the Briscoes. Dante leaps into super kicks by the Jacksons. Darius gets set up for a BTE trigger, but ducks and rolls up, gets a roll-up win. Just out of nowhere, the Jacksons drop it. They weren't on their game tonight, and Top Flight get a win. And when I say this was a shocker, well, it is it's surprising because I don't think anyone was expecting it, but it makes a lot of sense because over the past month or so, both members of Top Flight, Darius and Dante, in singles and tag competition, they've been getting their reps in with the Blackpool Combat Club, right? So they've been getting their ass handed to them in very close matches. I mean, that match that they had with Claudio and Moxley, which was a ton of fun, which was a great one. They almost pulled off the upset win here. So, they've been training to this moment. So, right now they beat the Bucks, and if the Bucks were they were off their game because look, Excalibur said, hey, they just came off of a hellish best of 7. Sure. Maybe, there's a bit of an implication that maybe that the loss, that the death of Jay Briscoe, maybe it's sort of taken away their focus. That could be a thing. Look, whatever the circumstances, the Bucks were off their game. And anyone who was doubting that that Top Flight wouldn't be coming in here to win it, just we're not paying attention. We're just not paying attention over the past few weeks. So, is this a moment where the guys start to get elevated? Maybe. I hope so. Or is this just going to turn into a private party situation? Who knows? Well, we'll find out. As Alexa Bliss once told us, let's let this play out. We come back from a commercial and we get a terrible segment with the Ass Boys and the Acclaimed. And this should come to no surprise to anyone who's, unless this is the first time you're listening to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, which is possible. And by the way, welcome. Or maybe the second time, which is possible. And also, welcome. But this should come to no surprise. This should come as no surprise to anyone. If I'm sitting here and I'm telling you this segment stunk, because it did. And from Austin Gunn shouting into the microphone the entire way to the start restart rhyme stuff to the pull apart brawl, right all the way down to Billy Gunn saying, next week I got 2 words for you. We're all going to sit down and we're going to have a family therapy like this. We're all going to have a sit down talk is what he said, right? Because there's nothing I like better on my wrestling programming is people sitting down to talk like that, as opposed to action, people standing around, moving, doing shit. I really like people sitting down and chit-chatting. That's what I love most about my pro wrestling, right? Like, all of this stuff this is the most sports entertaining stuff. And I was, not that long ago, just a couple of weeks ago, been talking about, I made a whole thing out of it, talking about how I feel there's certain things in AEW that are a little too WWE for my taste. This is it right here. This is too sports entertainment for me. Again, if I want the sports entertainment, I've got 7 hours of it I can watch in a week. I can pick one of 3 nights a week to watch people sit down and have family therapy with each other. I got all of it. And frankly, here is what I am most concerned about. I don't see the intrinsic value of the Guns. I don't think they're as accomplished as a tag team as people like to say that they're. I don't think they're. I think they're fine. I don't think they're that good. I think their match with FTR showed that. I think that I also think that Austin Gunn is he's a good prospect. I think he's an unfinished product, as you could tell by the way he delivered his promo last night, shouting into the microphone the entire way. I don't think that, just a one-note thing. I think his brother is a vacuum. I don't like them. I don't think they're that great. And what I'm fearful of for the Acclaimed, I think what they're trying to do, what they're figuring they should do here, is try to recapture some of that magic that made the Acclaimed, right? That made that helped the Acclaim grow into the organic sensation that they are. The problem is that we've done this, we've been there, this feels like we're going backwards, and worst of all, I feel like the Guns are a detriment to the Acclaim's success. I am afraid that they might actually end up being a vacuum, a void, sucking in all the good stuff that the Acclaimed were able to build for themselves. That's what I'm fearful of. I am not in on this at all. I don't think it is a good idea for the Acclaimed, who, despite my own personal reservations, are super over and are making the most of it. I think this is a step back. I don't think this is a step forward. I don't think this is good. I think this family therapy business that we're going to have next week, this sit-down talk, I think it's shit. I'm not looking forward to it. This is all, and the shit that they did on Rampage, come on now. Enough's enough. This is not what I look for on Wednesday nights. And while the Acclaimed are naturally charismatic, great talkers, they do not have a team that complements that will help elevate that. I really don't. We have Renee Paquette chatting with Hangman Adam Page. A bit of an awkward segment, right? Well, not awkward in its execution, but a tense. How about that? That's a tense segment between the two. Renee being the wife of John Moxley, right? Who had issues with Adam Page all up until next week, where even Adam Page, knocked him out. So she asked him, how you feeling, Hanger? She says he feels fine. But, he's, John Moxley took something from him in their first match, which was his word. He says, now I feel like I got my word back. She said John told him that he loves and despises Adam Page because he pushes him to be a better version of himself. Hangman is conciliatory to it. He says, but look, if he's got anything to say to me, he can come to my face. And Renee's like, look, that's his business. I don't know. And I think the main talking point to come out of this situation here is that Hangman said that he has fences that need mending, and with people. And I don't want to get into it, but and I'm thinking, oh, who? Everyone jumps, of course, to the Elite, and I think that's what this tease feels like. Getting back on good graces with Matt, that hothead, and Kenny. And but he could have fences to mend with the Dark Order, right? I think he might, are they really that tight? Could they be tighter? Maybe Adam Cole? Babyface Adam Cole right now seems like a good way to go about it. Oh, and would you look at this? They're not running a concussion angle, right? This, because last week, but again, it's always the same people, bad faith actors, who go out there to, terrible taste. What distaste? They're running a concussion angle with Moxley now. Moxley concussed Paige, so now Paige concusses Moxley, right? Because Mox was being checked on afterwards because he got loopy. He got knocked out, right? So, they're running a concussion angle. The word concussion wasn't even mentioned. Renee said, John's feeling fine. John's doing good. They didn't mention anything. This is one of the reasons why I do the Dynamite show the next day. Because I want to have time to think about it. I want to see where things are going. I don't want to react. Everyone reacts. I don't know why you'd want to sit down and watch someone react to something. Because everyone who was reacting that way looked like fools this week. Everyone was saying, but poor taste, they're running a concussion. There's no concussion angle. He got his bell rung. He got a little loopy. Maybe he did get knocked out in story, but that was the story. We're not pushing this forward. They're not running a Moxley is concussed angle. They're not doing it. This is what we're doing here. This is what we're doing right here. He got hurt. He's taking a week off, maybe a couple, right? The vacation that everyone was saying that. But I'm telling you, hot take culture, this necessity to jump on your social media and instantly have an opinion, instantly like draw the line and go this or that. In some circumstances you can, but not everything warrants it. Not everything warrants an instant reaction, especially one like what happened last week, where people are like, he's running a concussion angle. And I'm like, I don't see anything that says that that they're running a concussion angle. Well, medical staff were checking on him. There's plenty of quote unquote injury angles that happen, severe stretcher jobs or lesser, where you have medical staff checking on a wrestler despite the wrestler being injured in kayfabe. Like I didn't see the concussion angle, and they didn't even mention it again. They didn't even mention it in Adam Page's situation. So we're moving on from this. So the next part of the story is Adam Page wrapping up some loose ends with someone. This is where we're going. And you know what? If they do want to revisit this, and if they do want to have a rubber match in this series here, have a third go with Paige, like in this timeline here, a third go with Paige and Mox for Revolution, let's go. Let's do it. I'm fine with it. Just Jesus Christ. Ricky Starks defeated Jake Hager. This was fine. This was fine. It was all right. Ricky Starks does the rope walk. Hager yanks him off. Shenanigans with the hat. He likes the hat. Jake Hager boots him on the floor, beats him up in the ring. They set up a table. Starks pummels and drop kicks Hager. Springboard crossbody. He avoids the Vader bomb. Hits a DDT. 2.0 distract. Ricky Starks hits the spear for the win. After the match, all of the Jericho Appreciation Society hit the ring. Starks takes a powder into the crowd, celebrates in the audience. Great finale. Again, like, the match was, it was, Jake Hager in doing what he does best, and it's just like, don't miss your spots. That's all you have to do. It's funny how all this talk about Jake Hager being so improved is sort of fizzled away. Maybe because it's never been there, anyway. But after the match, when Ricky Starks basically avoids the overwhelming numbers game and goes and celebrates in the audience after a clean win. Again, let's emphasize this. Another clean win on the Jericho Appreciation Society. And he's in the audience celebrating. What a great visual. This was all fantastic. Now, if we're building to a rematch between him and Jericho, I have to touch wood, cross my fingers, and, count my lucky stars. No, that's not the right thing. But I have to hope that Jericho does the right thing and loses to him again. I'm hoping that that's the right thing to do. Then we go after the commercial. When we come back from commercial, Chris Jericho is backstage with Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara. He says he's asked for a match against Ricky Starks and Action Andretti next week. And his partner is going to be Sammy Guevara, Les Sex Gods. Daniel Garcia sort of goes, yo, Jericho, I got a piece of Action Andretti. I want to be your partner. And Sammy tells him that he can have the spot. That's great. I've trained you for this spot. So they're gonna have a match on Rampage, and if Garcia wins, he gets to tag with Jericho. We have to underscore how great Dan Garcia has been in this stuff, in these backstage segments with these little stories, these little angles that they have, and this has been going on for a while, ever since he was being courted by Bryan Danielson last year. For a guy who is, who a lot of people perceive to be the heir apparent to Danielson, a guy who's always been like a wrestler's wrestler, someone that he will never fit in WWE. He doesn't have the chops, doesn't have the charisma. This low-key sort of, tough guy, jock energy that he has about him is fantastic. Like it comes across really well, as Sammy's like he's, putting his arm on his shoulders and Garcia's sort of like, side-eyeing him and all of that. And Sammy's giving him hugs and Garcia just goes, all right, I'm just doing my thing here. It's just great stuff. The line that he delivered to Action Andretti, was it last week? Yeah, it was last week when he was saying, I remember when I was a kid like you, when Andretti's like a year older than him. Like, he's surprisingly fantastic and comfortable, and he's been growing more and more comfortable in these promo segments. He's look, I'm not saying that he's the next Eddie Kingston when it comes to promos. He's not a John Moxley yet, but he's showing more than I ever thought he was going to be able to deliver. He's been great. I mean, if this guy, just think about it for a second. If Dan Garcia's promo work starts to ramp up and he gets like he's on a level if he gets like a John Moxley, if he gets like like a John Moxley, with his ring work, this kid's going to be unstoppable. A superstar. And then we fall into the second hour of Dynamite, what an extraordinary hour of professional wrestling. And I mean extraordinary, above and beyond. This hour of pro wrestling challenges any hour of pro wrestling that has been on any pay-per-view in the past year, in 2022. This was outstanding shit from top to bottom. The first hour had ups and downs. Overall, fine. A lot of things I'm nitpicking on, but Top Flight and the Bucks was fun. Ricky Starks did it, and Jake Hager was its thing. It's an angle. Orange Cassidy and Jay Lethal, again, fine. All things that I'm going, this is fine. This is nothing. Nothing obscene, nothing great either, nothing that's getting me out of my seats. But holy shit, when Bryan Danielson and Bandito earlier in the day probably sat around, met up in the locker room and they were talking to each other, like, well, what should we do tonight? And they both agreed to just do cool shit. Holy fuck, did they decide to do some cool shit? What a fantastic, excellent match did we get out of these two guys here. And it ruled so hard that if anyone at the end of 2023 were to add this on their match of the year list, I don't even blame them. It's very early so far. But what an extraordinary match. Like right now, we're 19 days into the year. And Danielson is setting himself up to have a career year. There's rumors out there that this is his last year, that he's going to call it quits as far as in-ring work. If Danielson wants to go out in a glorious blaze like this, we should all strap in. The year is just kicking off, and Danielson has been delivering exquisite TV matches. And this is his gimmick. Don't forget, this is the gimmick going into Revolution. He has to win matches on a weekly basis. Otherwise, Max isn't giving him the shot. If we get more of these, and then the year continues, and Danielson continues delivering and over-delivering like this, he's going to go out as the wrestler of the year. His final year is going to be an all-timer, a career year. I have never been more excited at this prospect of thinking of it, of seeing the past few matches, seeing this one here. It went almost 20 minutes. And you know what was cool about it too? This is what was cool about it too. It refreshed the Bryan Danielson match. Because what he and Bandito did in this match, there was a lot of groundwork. There was a lot of holds, submissions. If anything, this was the Ring of Honor tribute match. Despite the fact that on Hard to Kill, you had Jonathan Gresham and Eddie Edwards fighting for the honor of Ring of Honor. And I'm looking at these two former Ring of Honor stalwarts. I'm like, holy shit. This is great too. I love, by the way, Gresham and Eddie Edwards. Don't get me wrong, but here, this is a whole new level. And the ground game gets a huge pop from the audience. See, this is I can't underscore enough how much AEW is a pro wrestling show. When your audience is looking at an outstanding ground game and the audience realizes it and they pop for it. This is not the same case as in WWE. It's just not. It's just not. We're on two different perceptions of reality. And the more things progress with AEW, the more I realize that the fans of both will be irreconcilable because it's two entirely different products, two entirely different offers. One side wants you to get excited for great in-ring work. The other side wants you to get excited when an entrance theme hits. Danielson locks in an Indian deathlock, which he reverses into a high stack pin, which was just, I was in awe. I was just like, look at this. We're off to the races at this point. Bandito tries a Romero special, but Danielson reverses out of it. Sets himself up for his own Romero special, but instead just stomps the inner knees, which was great. And they have this crazy strength spot. I don't think I've ever seen this. This great spot where Danielson crunches up. He does a crunch leaning on Bandito's thighs. I was like, what the hell am I looking at? And then Bandito fucking headbutts him. Bandito locks in the El Nudo Lagunero. El Nudo Lagunero, which is Blue Panther's finishing move. A Lucha Libre legend who both Danielson and Bandito have claimed as influences. So Bandito was able to get the tribute in. Haha, fuck you, Danielson. He's Blue Panther's favorite now. Suicide dive by Bandito, tope con hilo. He springboards back into the ring and eats a knee by Danielson, who finally does get the Romero special locked in. A kitchen sink knee, some chops, some kicks, thrust kick, and tornillo by Bandito. Huge stalling suplex by Bandito as well. And here was what was great, because this is one of Bandito's moves where he does the stalling suplex and he has the audience count to 60 or whatever, right? He overdoes it. And he's having trouble at some point keeping Danielson up. So he takes his time, composes himself, and raises him up to an even larger reaction. Just great shit. Just great shit. Frog splash by Bandito. Danielson lifts his legs up. Label lock. Bandito struggles out of it. Danielson goes for the yes kicks, but the audience plays along, goes, see. We have to note that in Fresno, Bandito is over like crazy. Couple of times the audience was on the verge of turning against Danielson because Danielson was being a little too much of a dick. It was great. A GTS type move by Bandito. Goes for the 21 plex. Flips Danielson over, but Danielson lands on his feet. He hits a wrecking ball drop kick to the floor. Jumping knee off the apron. Bandito lands the moonsault slam. 21 plex. Covers. Danielson kicks out. And they start firing off at each other. Just great shit. Some kicks. A Busaiku knee, though, by Danielson puts Bandito away. This is one you have to take time out of your day to go watch. And you can find it very easy because it's on free TV. It's on your TBS app. It's on your Roku, your TiVo. Do we still have TiVos? Is that DVR? It's all there. It'll probably end up on AEW's YouTube. It was just excellent pro wrestling. A 17, almost 18-minute match. Am I going to say it? Are you going to say it? We're spoiled. Get excited. Pro wrestling's back. Maxwell Jacob Friedman cuts a promo on the Tonytron. He says he hears everything Danielson and the fans say about him not deserving his spot in the company. Fickle, he says, wink, wink, right, is an understatement. He says that Danielson doesn't understand that he's only been dealing with Masked Max. Masked Max likes to keep things fun and light, but the closer we get to Revolution, the more the mask will slip, and nobody wants that. A dragon is no match for the monster behind the mask. Fine, short, succinct little promo, just establishes the fact that MJF is ready to get things a little. He's ready to get things get a little more serious about things. Later in the show, we'll skip forward to this segment here because it all connects. We have Brian Cage and Prince Nana that are being interviewed regarding their upcoming match on Rampage this week against Willie Mack. Which can we just take? I know it's not directly related to Dynamite. But I do want to underscore how fucking happy I am that Willie Mack is on TV, on Dynamite, doing stuff. That guy's great. And from everything I heard, a good dude on top of that. So MJF comes in and interrupts the interview. He's got a stack of cash. He's offering it to Nana and Cage, and he says, "Look, I don't care. You know, you're fighting Bryan Danielson next week. That was just announced previous to this. He says, you're fighting Danielson next week. I want you to break his arm. I don't care if you win or lose. Break his arm, and you have the money here." Brian Cage says, "Well, we can probably work that out." Friedman slaps him. Cage grabs him by the neck. MJF says that feeling that you have right now is hate, and there's no greater motivator than hate. I don't know. I don't know if that's entirely true. The feeling of a job well done is a great motivator. I would be the worst heel. Like, motivate yourself. You know, get the feeling of a job well done. We got a pre-tape between Toni Storm, Soraya, and Hikaru Shida. Basically establishing a little more of a rift. Two things here. A little more of a rift between Storm, Soraya, and Shida. as you know, Toni Storm now is in the middle and she's talking more directly to Soraya. So it's not just Soraya being, you know, sort of giving Shida the cold shoulder. Now it's both of them, and Shida's like, what the fuck, man? I'm right here. Soraya warns Shida to stay in the back too, because they don't want a repeat of, you know, the fuck up that happened last week. You know, so Soraya's a little mad about that. Toni sort of half defends her, half defends Shida. Says, oh, she didn't mean it. It wasn't her fault. She's apologetic. She's cool. They keep referring to themselves as the, you know, the world stars, right? Not the, you know, but, you know, us that have traveled around the world, that have been other places, as opposed to the AEW homegrown talent. And I know a lot of people are taking an exception to this, right? A lot of people are unnerved at this concept of calling, you know, AEW people like, let's say, Jamie Hayter, for instance, as homegrown talent, or Willow Nightingale as homegrown talent. It doesn't really matter because the distinction clearly they're trying to make here is that it's the, you know, the former WWE talent who are coming in and doing shit to, you know, these girls here who were not previous. But, you know, they don't want to outright say we're the former Fed girls and we're coming in to, you know, to take over. You know, that's not what they want. That's not what they want to say. That's not what they want to mean here. Well, no, that's what they mean, but they can't outright say it. Excuse me. So it doesn't bother me that much. And I think the whole homegrown, you know, debate is dumb. It's dumb as hell. And even when you apply it to WWE, it's dumb as hell. And it sort of hurts your brain, and maybe, you know, and it never paints a promotion in a good light, because it's not about homegrown talent. Really, it's about, you know, the talent in and about itself. What I enjoy here, quite frankly, is what I enjoy here is this idea that Toni Storm and Soraya are clearly moving heel. And that is the smartest move to do, especially if they want to keep Soraya, you know, doing this, you know, this is my house now and all that. I think that this is a good pivot. I think that, you know, bookers in AEW listened to how the fans were reacting to this, and maybe some criticism online that this was not a good look for Soraya. And it was not a good look for the women's division when she came in and said, I'm going to make this my house. And, you know, these are all great women that you know, sort of positioning herself above everyone. And this was supposed to be a babyface. And this is all kind of weird. I think this is a good pivot. And they continued this into the match where Toni Storm defeated Willow Nightingale. Nightingale's using her strength to begin with, knocks her down, side suplexes her, and goes for the low cross body. Toni Storm fake outs a handshake of respect, and instead hip attacks Nightingale to the floor. So there, we're getting little tidbits of heel Toni here. She actually gets a heat segment in this match. She locks in a full Nelson, but when Nightingale fights back, hits a spine buster, missile dropkick. She eats a hip attack though by Toni Storm and a DDT. Nightingale lands the pounce, straps her down, cannonball. Soraya distracts, which allows Toni Storm to roll up Nightingale for the win. And after the match, Soraya comes in and goes after Willow. You know, and Shida was at ringside, but she was like, she didn't get involved in this. She was like, what are you doing? But Soraya and Toni Storm, they put the boots to Nightingale. Ruby Soho runs in to make the save. Now there's a lot of discussion going on. And are we leading into a blood and guts match for the women? And you know what? Let's go. Let's do it. But what are the teams? How are you setting this up? You know, if you do like Soraya and Toni Storm being like the former WWE people, the Fed girls, the former Fed ladies, as I call it, the Fed still, sue me. If you're doing that, why wouldn't you, does that mean like you get all of the former WWE women to join this? Does that mean Ruby Soho turns her back on Willow? Or will Toni and Soraya try to bring Ruby onto the dark side, but Ruby is too much of a good baby face and has learned to love Willow Nightingale, and she, this is her new friend, and they're moving in together strong on this. What are the teams? What do you do? Is this the entry point for Mercedes Moné? Is this where she comes in to play? Or are we just not getting a blood and guts? I think it'd be pretty dope if we got a women's blood and guts. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great because women blading on wrestling shows get so many people angry. I want to get those people infuriated. I want the women in a match where this is absolutely necessary, that it absolutely has to happen, just to get these people mad. Anyway, there's a lot of potential coming out of this. Lots of fun little stories being developed around this. So I'll be curious to see how this develops. Stokely Hathaway and Ethan Page have a pre-tape on Jungle Boy. Then Konosuke Takeshita is interviewed by Renee Paquette, and he's flat all the way out speaking in English, saying that he loved wrestling Bryan Danielson because he's his hero. He said he's learned much, but he talks about how he doesn't trust MJF and that he's probably going to watch Danielson's back here. And he says a bunch of things in Japanese. And Renee says, well, what did you just say? And he says, well, basically what I said is MJF is an asshole. So again, last week, I was talking about, and I still stand by it, right? The idea that, is this MJF's shining moment? Do we have to go to such low-hanging fruit as the racism, the casual racism? Is that something that he should be leaning into? But you know what? Again, this week, MJF, with this promo here by Takeshita, once again was proven that the heel in this situation has egg on his face. He's got his own comeuppance because the guy that he was making fun of for not understanding is having full promos go in English, and it's like, yeah, no problem. And he's, sure, he has a thick Japanese accent. Who cares? Everyone has an accent when they speak. I don't know if you knew this. It turns out Takeshita can speak English. And not only speak English, but stand up for himself and not be a stepping stone here. He's like, yeah, you know what? MJF is a bastard. I'm gonna watch Danielson's back. I got his back because I don't trust this guy here. And Takeshita is so goddamn charming. He's just got this natural likability about him that, one of these untouchables, right? These intangibles is the word I was looking for. That you just can't, you can't learn this. This can't be taught in a performance center. He just has it. He's there. He's speaking in a thick Japanese accent. He's speaking English in a thick Japanese accent, and he's getting himself over. I'm enraptured. I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, he's so likable, charming. I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I would not be surprised if his loss to Danielson last week is the last time that Takeshita loses in a while. I think, because look, the boy has to start winning some matches on TV, because right now he is poised to be a megastar for this company. He is poised to be a megastar for AEW. Huge reactions, great work rate. This is what the AEW fans tune into. And on top of that, just has this natural fucking likability. And we go to the main event, AEW TNT title match. Darby Allin successfully retained his title against KUSHIDA. This was very good. But let's go. Let me talk about the match first, and then we'll get some analysis. Some stand-in switches back and forth between the two to begin with. Drop kick by KUSHIDA. They go to the floor. Kushida eats some barricade. But then Kushida eats the kicks Darby's arm and starts working it throughout the match, right? For the hoverboard lock, his finisher. So that's what he's doing here. Pele kick is blocked by Darby, who hits a code red. He does a cannonball off the top rope to the floor onto the dojo guys. Because, right, I forgot to mention, Kushida was accompanied to the ring by LA Dojo guys, the DKC, and Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight, who is such a strong prospect for New Japan or whoever will pick him up. But that fucking guy has so much upside. And I am very excited to see what this guy's career path looks like, because he is a standout in this crop of guys from the dojo. Kushida lands a cross arm breaker on the floor and continues working the arm some more. Chops, they exchange chops. Running crossbody and a Pele kick by Kushida. Scorpion death drop by Darby. Kushida drops Darby Allin to the floor, flipping stunner on the apron by Darby Allin as well. Which was great stuff. Darby Allin sits Kushida on a chair. He goes to the top turnbuckle. The chair's on the floor. He goes to the top turnbuckle, jumps off, but Kushida bounces out of the chair and grabs Darby midair into a hoverboard lock. He just cinches that shit in on the floor. Of course, he can't win, but he's going for the full 10 count, or at least as close as he can, before releasing it, putting as much strain as he can on Darby's arm. Gets back into the ring with and they're on the top rope, and we get a key lock superplex by Kushida. Locks in the hoverboard lock. The dojo guys want Sting to throw in the towel. Sting, of course, was with Darby Allin. Want Sting to throw in the towel. They have a towel, they give it to him, and Sting tosses it into the crowd. Darby Allin struggles out of the hoverboard lock. Clocks in the Last Supper for the win. It's just fantastic. I like this for multiple reasons. First of all, it was good to see Darby wrestling someone other than a big, like someone where, other than a David versus Goliath situation. That's what I'm trying to say. Where Darby is such the smaller man. It's like, oh, how is he ever going to overcome this? Like, we've seen it a couple of times, and it was, it was all right. It was fine. Now we're back to, wrestling all sorts of dudes. So that's one thing. Second thing, this is a continued continuation. How about that? Just like when you want to slap your face off someone's face, so slap the face off of someone's face, right? The continued continuation is a thing too. This is the ongoing story of Darby Allin always overcoming the odds, right? You think that you have this kid beat, you think he's done for, you think he's absolutely he can't eat any more punishment. He's always capable of eating more punishment and then squeezing out a win at the most opportune time. Like Darby's gimmick, if you will, is I can take punishment. That's his thing. It's like I can take as much of a beating as you want. I have no more nerve endings. I cannot feel pain anymore. I'm exaggerating a little, but that's ultimately the thing. And as far as Kushida goes, look, not even a week ago, I think we were in the Discord talking about this. And you're saying, has there been anyone else? Has there been anyone whose career has suffered most by going to WWE than Kushida? Because he comes in and almost, soon thereafter, they're getting rid of the cruiserweight title, which he was an anchor around, and then Trips disappears, and then it becomes 2.0, and he gets lost in the shuffle, and then it's like, well, we don't need you anymore. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Whatever. He gets let go or he leaves. He doesn't renew his contract. I can't quite remember the circumstance, but like he's gone from WWE is my point. And then he goes back to New Japan. And everyone in New Japan is like, okay. And even, New Japan fans and people who are fans of Kushida. All right, he's back, but what are we doing? What are we going to do with Kushida? What's the next step? And everyone's sort of shrugging and, lifting their arms. And And everyone is going, oh, they have to repackage him, so on and so forth. He gets, he gets ill, gets the foot to mouth disease, which sucks, don't get me wrong, but that stalls a whole bunch of things. Everyone is like, look, at this point, everything that we've seen post WWE from Kushida was like, all right, it's just happening. But, the damage has been done here. He doesn't have it anymore. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If Kushida continues down, wrestling like he did with Darby Allin here, like his career depended on it, and bringing back stuff where you're like, okay, this rules. This is the guy we like, because this match ruled. And Kushida was in control for most of it. So if we continue down this path throughout 2023, it might be a little brighter for the time splitter than it was just a week ago. I was looking forward to this match because I'm still a sucker for Kushida, despite the fact that my expectations weren't very high. Blew it out of the water here. I think this is a reminder of how good he is still, and that the damage that was done by WWE to this man's career is not irreparable. Irreparable. Anyway, very good episode. Well, look here. Good episode of Dynamite. I'm a little more reticent. Not reticent. I'm a little colder about it than the past couple of weeks. Right? For the past 4 or 5 weeks, the previous 4 to 5 weeks, just excellent pro wrestling shows, top to bottom. This one here, I thought the first hour was fine. Lots of angles, lots of story. It's like nothing egregious. But goddamn that second hour. The ladies, the main event, and Danielson versus Bandito. It's just awesome. Just an awesome show from the second hour on. And yeah, despite the fact that I'm still, I'm a little, first hour, we're still spoiled. We're still spoiled to get these matches on TV on a Wednesday night where you don't have to pay an extra $60 to watch. We're privileged as wrestling fans to have this show on that delivers great pro wrestling every week. And we can sit around and nitpick little nitpicky shit that we hate. But these matches are too good to not get into and not sit here and say, yeah, you know what? AEW Dynamite, it's a hot show. I mean, it's been like this for the past 4 to 5 weeks. What? Prove me wrong. Nothing but excellent matches. It has just been excellent. Spoiled. Well, you spoil me by showing up here and listening to this review, and I appreciate it a great deal. Thank you for spoiling me. Spoil me some more. Spoil me some more by leaving a like. Spoil me some more by subscribing or by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. And I will be back next Tuesday for another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, and then again Thursday for another AEW Dynamite review. In the meantime, I hope everyone has a great rest of their week, and I'll see you next time.